الله لا إله إلا هو رب العرش العظيم قال سننظر أصدقت أم كنت من الكاذبين اذهب بكتابي هذا فألقه إليهم ثم تول عنهم فانظر ماذا يرجعون قالت يا أيها الملأ إني ألقي إلي كتاب كريم إنه من سليمان وإنه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألا تعلوا علي وأتوني مسلمين.
رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربنا زدنا علما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Okay, so today you guys know which surah Aisha read the passage from? Surathun Naml. Surathun Naml. Asma, do you know the meaning of Naml? Yeah. Ants. Okay. So ants.
That's
Okay.
Sulaiman alayhi salam.
Yeah.
He will.
Can you come closer?
Sulaiman alayhi salam. That's the Surah
Sulaiman alayhi salam. Yeah. Yeah. Can you come closer, please?
You can't say
Okay. So this surah, Surathun Naml. Today we're going to cover 3 surahs. Surathun Naml, and all the surahs are Makki surahs. Okay. Surathun Naml, when I was small, I used to think, why is this surah not named as Sulaiman? Because there are so many surahs that are named after prophets, right? Surah Yusuf, Yunus, Hud, Ibrahim. Yeah, there's no Shu'aib. There's Nuh. Yeah. So I used to wonder, why is the surah not named after Sulaiman? Because from what I knew, this surah is the one that was talking about Sulaiman alayhi salam the most. Yeah, Muhammad.
like a prophet the most.
Yeah, okay. But subhanallah, actually other prophets are also being mentioned in this.
What?
Yeah, even Musa alayhi salam story is being mentioned in this also. Musa alayhi salam is mentioned so many times, right? So anyway, this surah's name is not Sulaiman. Instead, it's named after Naml, an ant, okay, which is there in the story of Sulaiman alayhi salam, okay, and maybe the Sahaba named the surah Naml because that incident is so unique. Let me just give you a synopsis of the surah, okay. So this surah is 2 main things. There's 2 main discourse, 2 main train of thought, 2 main themes that is happening, okay. The first is Allah is reminding how only people who benefit from the guidance of Allah and become worthy of Jannah, of the good promise, the glad tidings in Jannah, the only people who will get it are people who actually reflect upon the realities of what's happening in this universe that Allah is sending to them. Remember yesterday we spoke about ayat, right? People who actually accept those ayat, reflect upon them, and know that behind all this there's a creator. Those are the people who will get guided, and those are the people who get the glad tidings, okay. Now after that, Ammar, do you want something to color? No? Can you give him something? Yeah. After that, the second part of the surah, okay, the second discourse in the surah is Allah is talking about 3 different kinds of people, okay, And I felt that is very unique, the way it is presented in this. The first kind of people, that is, first type of person that is mentioned is Fir'aun, which is why in this surah also Musa alayhi salam's story comes in. Okay, because the type of person Fir'aun is, that type of people are being mentioned. Yes?
Are there going to be leaders of all these?
Yeah, all the types of people are actually leaders also. Okay, so the first one is Fir'aun, not just Fir'aun, even the nation of Thamud, the people of Thamud, right? Remember we spoke about nation of Thamud, they were Ashab al-Hijr, they would make their houses, carve the mountains and make their houses. So those kind of people are mentioned. These people they don't want to give up anything, they don't want to give up any wealth, they don't want to give up their power, and that's why they are arrogant, and that's why they are sticking to their ways and not following the ways that the prophets came with. Okay, that's why Fir'aun did not want to accept the true message. Okay, that's the first type of people. They're arrogant, they're bad. And the second type of person is Sulaiman alayhi salam. Sulaiman alayhi salam, Allah gave all wealth, all power, okay, the miracles.
But he still gave the cast.
Yeah, for him the most important part was being grateful to Allah and still submitting to the will of Allah, no matter how much power he had, because he recognized that all his power and wealth came from Allah. Yes.
So you're not just saying kings that are prophets, you're also saying like someone like those maybe, right? Is he in this group of people?
Yeah, the examples are given in this. Okay, so Dhul Qarnayn is a good example for the second type of person.
And also
Okay.
to the like a lot of.
But Dhul Qarnayn is not being mentioned in the surah. But we're just talking about three types of people. So anybody with those qualities will fall into that. So Dhul Qarnayn will fall into the second type. He's not mentioned in the surah though.
It's also really nice because like this category of people, so that we could think that Muhammad ﷺ, like he didn't want power or anything, like he didn't really care about the dunya, and a lot of people would think you can't care about the dunya. If you're a Muslim, you can only think about the akhirah. But,
oh yeah,
there were many prophets that
who were
also
rich and had all the wealth and lived using the wealth. Like you don't have to just live a poor life. That's a very good point. Like you don't have to think that to be righteous, to be a good person, you have to just give away all your wealth and live like a poor person. No, you don't have to. Even during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there were some rich sahabas. You should use your wealth for the service of deen and for Allah, for the sake of Allah. Spend it in the way of Allah and be grateful that Allah has blessed it. And always think that this is all from Allah.
So like you don't have to like give away all your
You don't have to give away all
there
your
are
wealth.
also many like powerful people that were Muslims. That's also like a stereotype, right? Like Mansa Musa and stuff. So even in the Quran there.
Yeah, so Mansa Musa might be an example of. Yeah, Mansa Musa is also, inshallah, one of the second type of man. I mean, we don't know because he's not a Sahabi or anything, but yeah, but inshallah, he's from the second type. Okay, so now the first type is bad people. You don't want to be like them. They're arrogant and they're not giving up their wealth because, and that's why they don't want to give up their wealth. That's why they're not Muslims.
They're proud.
Second type is like Sulaiman alayhi salam. Even though he was blessed with everything, he attributed it to Allah, and so that's how he was. Now the third type of person is like, and in this surah, the person that is mentioned is the Queen of Sheba. Her name was Queen Bilqis. Okay, Ummi's name, right? Yeah. So Bilqis was the Queen of Sheba. Okay. So now I'll start the story of Sulaiman alayhi salam. Sheba is what is said in English, but it's Saba. Okay, the place is called Saba. Okay. Now let me start the story of Sulaiman alayhi salam. You guys know it. But what will happen is, so Sulaiman alayhi salam was the son of Dawood alayhi salam. Okay.
Who was also a king, so he kind of inherited.
Yeah. Okay. Dawood alayhi salam was not a king. He was just a shepherd who later on becomes the king because he gets married to the princess, the king's daughter. Okay, he was just a shepherd who saved them from Goliath, from Jalut, and then so he becomes the king. Now his son is Sulaiman alayhi salam, and Sulaiman alayhi salam, Allah blessed him even more than Dawud alayhi salam, not just in wealth and riches, but just like Dawud alayhi salam and more, he had so much wisdom. Okay, and he was very, so Allah blessed Sulaiman alayhi salam with a lot of wisdom also, and Allah gave him special miracles of being able to listen and understand the conversation of animals. He could communicate with animals, okay, and then he could also communicate with jinn. Okay, he could actually converse with them. So once he was lining up all the people and all the jinn and all the animals, like they were all his soldiers, okay. And when he was lining all of them up, he saw that the hudhud bird, the hoo bird, was missing. Okay, so then he's like, where is the hudhud bird? This bird is missing. And then after some time, the hudhud bird comes and says that, oh, I got delayed because I was flying over this land, the land of Sheba, and over there I saw that instead of worshipping Allah, they're worshipping the sun. The sun was their god. So Sulaiman alayhi salam is like, okay, let's make sure if the story is true. And then so he will go and make sure the story, not he will go, he'll send one of his soldiers to go and make sure the story is true. And they'll come back and say that, yes, the story is true. Then Sulaiman alayhi salam will send a message, a letter with a hoo bird, with the same hoo bird, okay? And that's when the passage that Aisha recited, okay, where he's inviting the queen and her people to Islam.
Is that Bilqis?
Yeah, Bilqis. Allah, there is none worthy of worship but He is the Lord of the mighty throne. And then Sulaiman alayhi salam will say, he will write the letter, and in that it begins with the name of Allah. So when he's writing the letter, he begins with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Okay, and then he's basically,
why they made it this surah.
yeah, and then it says and then he says, do not be arrogant against me, meaning don't be against me, don't challenge me, come to me with submission to Allah. Okay, because Sulaiman alayhi salam was the king and had all this wealth, and he was using all his power to bring people to Islam, to have everybody submit to Allah, to the religion of Allah, Islam. Okay, so then he sends this letter. Okay, and then first when the queen gets the letter, she is taking counsel, like she takes shura, she takes advice from all her people, and some of them will be like, no, let's not, and all that. And then the queen, she has goodness in her heart, but then she's not so sure because she has been always worshipping the sun and living her life, right? So then she will send gifts back to Sulaiman alayhi salam, and Sulaiman alayhi salam will be like, no, I don't need this, and will send the message, send everything back. And then Bilqis, her heart has become drawn to Islam, and then she's deciding that, okay, let me and my people go to Sulaiman, accepting Islam. Now Sulaiman alayhi salam knows that she's on her way. She and her people are on her way. So Sulaiman alayhi salam wants to show not his power, but the power that Allah has bestowed on him, so that her heart will become strong in Islam, right? So he will ask his soldiers, who can bring me her throne over here, all the way from Sabah?
Of jinn.
Yeah, so then Ifrit will volunteer. He'll say that I can bring it. And then within a blink of an eye, Ifrit, and it's described that Ifrit was one of the most powerful jinn, okay? He'll be able to bring her throne where he is. Amar, did you hear that? One of his soldiers will bring the throne of the queen from another city to this city. Yeah? So then Ifrit, the throne will be there. And then then they'll kind of do a little bit, changes to the throne to see if Bilqis will still recognize it. And when Bilqis arrives, Sulaiman alayhi salam will ask, do you recognize this? And she will immediately recognize, and she'll be in even more awe. But then she'll also say that before, even without seeing this miracle itself, we were on our way to submit to Islam, because we know that indeed you're the Prophet of Allah. Okay, and that's the story of the Queen of Sheba, Bilqis. So the reason why she's mentioned in the story is, what did I say? She is the third type of people. The people, she and her kind of, this type of people is different from the first kind. The first kind was
Like
Fir'aun. They were arrogant. They don't want to accept Islam. Queen of Sheba, it's just because they were not aware. Once she became aware, she became strong in her Islam and she submits. The third type. Third or second time. So first is Fir'aun type of people, the bad people. The second is Sulaiman alayhi salam type of people. I mean, you can switch the order, it doesn't matter. And the reason we go in this order is in this surah, that's the order that is mentioned in. And the third type of person is Bilqis. When first they were on deviation, but once they saw that Islam is the truth, they didn't hesitate and they just accepted Islam. Okay? Yeah? Okay. Now, because the surah is named Naml, I'll just mention that incident also, where the ant is being mentioned. I think you all know the incident, right?
Yep.
Yeah. You want to say it? You want to say it? Okay.
So Sulaiman alayhi salam will be going with his army. Like he has a huge army, and then he'll hear that the ants are crossing by, and he'll hear the ants talking to each other. They'll say, "Fast move." The
Sulaiman and
they're
his
gonna step.
on and stamp on us and we will die.
And
So
then
Sulaiman alayhi salam will hear this conversation. Okay. When Sulaiman alayhi salam hears this conversation, how does he react?
he tells his army to stop.
Stop.
He laughs.
He laughs and he stops, and also he makes a dua at that time. His dua at that time is basically thanking Allah for giving him that ability. Okay, he's not feeling proud that he has this ability. He's thanking Allah at that point that, oh, Alhamdulillah, I'm able to have this ability.
And just for the ants, like they kind of
Yeah. And so he will say that, like he's asking Allah, Ya Allah, help me to thank you in the best possible way. Like inspire me. He's basically saying, inspire me. قال ربي أوزعني أن أشكر نعمتك. Like inspire me to thank you in the best possible way. Like, because at that point he's like, Alhamdulillah, I'm able to hear this is a blessing from Allah, and he's asking Allah to help him to thank him in the best way. And that's how, even with all the power and all the wealth, that's how Sulaiman alayhi salam was always thanking Allah for all the blessings. In fact, even the blessings came to him itself because Sulaiman alayhi salam made dua to Allah that, oh Allah, bless me with a kingdom that nobody else ever has had. Okay, give me all this power that nobody else ever has had. And he didn't do it because he was greedy. Did he ask for all this because he was greedy? No, because he wanted to use it for the sake of Allah. Okay, for the sake of Islam. Okay, he wanted Muslims to have that power. He wanted Muslims to have the that wealth so they could serve Islam better. Okay, when you say Muslims, it means anybody who believes in Allah. Yeah.
And if he was saying it greedily, Allah wouldn't accept his dua, but Allah knows his
Or maybe, there are people who ask for greedy stuff and they get it, and then that's a test for them. Okay. So now the next surah is Surathul Qasas. Who can tell me how many surahs are there in the Quran? How many surahs are there in the Quran?
114.
Very good. 114. Who can tell me how many Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim are there in the Quran?
114.
How come? One surah doesn't...
Because one surah has two
Which surah?
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim.
Which surah has two Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim?
Surah
Naml, the one that we just did. Naml.
Remember when I read it, it had Bismillahir-Rahim.
Yeah. Because Sulaiman alayhi salam will say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim
When
he's writing a letter, right? Which surah is the surah that doesn't have Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim?
Something with a thought.
Tawbah, Surah Tawbah. Okay. Now next surah is Suratul Qasas. Suratul Qasas means stories. Okay. Now this surah is also a major portion of the surah is actually talking about Musa alayhi salam's story.
Wait, we did Qasas, right?
Qasas comes after Naml, okay? And because Musa alayhi salam's story has been mentioned, oh yeah, we did it. Because Musa alayhi salam's story has been mentioned many times, okay? We are not really going into so much detail, but the main points are how Fir'aun plots to kill all the boys from Bani Israel, okay? And how Musa alayhi salam's mother manages to save Musa alayhi salam. You guys know the story, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then once he's saved, who brings him up?
What?
Yes. Asya alayhi salam, right? Asya alayhi salam is one of the best women.
She's in the
one of
5
the-
women
of Jannah. Exactly. She's one of the 4 women of Jannah. Yeah. Okay. So Asya raises him up in the palace, and then when he grows up, he's become very strong, able-bodied. Everybody looks up to him. He's somebody who grew up in the palace. And then the incident where he by mistake kills somebody, and then he runs away from there. By then he's exposed. Fir'aun knows who he is, and then he runs away. I mean, he doesn't.
He's Israeli.
Exactly, that's what he knows. He doesn't. Musa alayhi salam is not a prophet at that point. And then he goes, and finally he reaches Madian. Okay, over there, that incident of the well, helping the 2 women, all that take place. And then he marries from there, and he settles down there. And then the incident where he's traveling, okay, with his people, and when they're kind of lost and they're looking for something at night, something to keep them warm, they see fire in the distance.
Oh
Musa
yeah.
alayhi salam.
That's when Allah calls out to Musa alayhi salam, and then
He becomes a prophet.
and then he drops the staff, and then
Yeah.
the snakes.
Yes. Yeah. At that point, in this surah,
watching that in Prophet story.
you remember watching that? At that point, this is also being mentioned that Allah gave Musa alayhi salam 9 signs. Okay? Allah gave 9 signs. Ammar, how many signs did Allah give Musa alayhi salam so that to help him in his
6.
in his dealing with Fir'aun?
9 signs. And another thing is, in his story, when you learn about it, there's so much to do with his staff. It turns into a snake. It splits the sea. There's so many things it does.
Yeah. And then another miracle that Musa alayhi salam had was with his right hand, like if he pulled his hand out, it would glow. That's another miracle that he had. Then another miracle that happened was the flood. Of course, I mean the sea splitting. Then a plague came. Okay.
Oh,
then
the
one of
3
the tribes.
signs. So one of them was like a disease, I
A
think.
disease, the plague. Frogs.
A drought, and then the last one was
Drought.
red when a person.
No, it turned into
Blood.
There was blood.
So
Yeah.
for the Israelis, when they drank from
And then the sea turns
into
red, blood.
That's why
Okay.
it's called Red Sea.
Yeah. Okay, so Allah gave all these 9 signs to Musa alayhi salam. These were 9 miracles. Okay. Then there is a mention of Qarun. This is new in this. We haven't mentioned this month yet. Qarun. Who knows about Qarun?
it sounds so familiar.
Qarun was a very wealthy man.
Oh yeah. He was a really wealthy man, and he was the richest
Israelite.
Israelite.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, he was so proud.
He was very proud, and eventually Allah punishes him by like all his wealth is eaten up, like swallowed by the earth. Okay, he had so much wealth that he used to have many people had to carry his keys were so heavy.
Yeah,
the keys
'cause he
to
had so
open the
many
treasure.
chests.
Yeah. And so many people had to together carry them because they were so heavy. Okay. So
then how did he open the place if it was so
that's what he had so many people to do that. Okay. So all these stories are being mentioned in the surah, and of course from all this the lesson is that Allah will always be on the side of the believers. Okay, Fir'aun, Qarun, Haman, they all had so much wealth and power, but Allah was on the side of the believers.
Was Qarun a believer of...
Qarun was not a believer. The last surah that we are doing today is Surathul Ankabut. What's the meaning of Ankabut?
Spider.
I was going to ask Ammar. Ammar, what is Ankabut?
How many legs? How many legs?
How many legs does the Ankabut have? Spiders have how many legs? No. Eight. Okay. 8. Okay. So this surah is named as Ankabut because Ankabut is being mentioned. So Ankabut is being mentioned in this ayah. Okay. Listen, guys. Okay. The parable of those who take protectors other than Allah is that of a spider who builds for itself a dwelling. And is the Ankabut's dwelling, the web, is it strong?
Yeah. No!
No, it's not strong. And surely the weakest of all dwellings is the dwelling of a spider. Okay, Allah is saying it is the weakest of all dwellings. Even a bird's nest, for the spider, it is strong enough.
No, the chemical
But
of the
nobody else
is strong, but the home itself is not.
The home is not strong. If somebody, you can just walk through it and it's broken, right?
And I can just stick my finger in and
it's done. It's broken. Even a bird's nest, maybe you'll have a harder time to crumble it. Any other home will, even a honeycomb is more firm and hard and strong. But a spider's dwelling, you can just do this, or put, even with wind blows and it will come. Yeah. So Allah is saying the example for the weakest house is spider's house. Okay. And Allah is saying that is how the condition of a person who takes other people other than Allah as protector. Nobody can protect anyone. The one who thinks that somebody can protect them, it's like they are choosing a spider's home as their house. Okay, will anybody choose a spider's dwelling, the web, as their house? No, right? If only they thought about it. Allah says.
But
whenever Allah uses this simile, it shows one that He knows His creations more than anything. He always uses His creations, some things that we will never know, and also it's
spiders have a lot.
Okay, now another passage that I want to highlight from Suratul Ankabut is where Allah is talking about Salah. Okay, Allah says, recite from this book, the Quran, which has been revealed to you, and establish Salah. And Allah is saying, surely Salah keeps one away from shameful and evil deeds. And surely the remembrance of Allah is the greatest indeed. Allah knows what you do. Okay, so when you say the remembrance of Allah, okay, it means that Allah mentions your name in front of angels. That is the best thing that you can ask for, right?
Whoa!
Yeah, okay. So, and Allah is mentioning how Salah keeps one away from shameful and evil deeds. Okay, so how important is Salah? And subhanallah, this ayah is coming right after Allah is mentioning about the parable of the spider dwelling. Okay, that just shows how Salah is something that can actually result in you having a strong dwelling. Salah is a protection for you. Okay, just like how in the parable it mentions the example of someone who takes somebody else as a protector. No, Salah is what you should turn for your protection. Salah is your connection with Allah. Okay, that's where the real protection lies. Okay, and then also this soon after, a few ayahs after that, Allah mentions how Allah is enough for us. Allah is sufficient for us.
Like when Muhammad...
قُلْ كَفَى بِاللَّهِ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَكُمْ شَهِيدًا. Okay, Allah is sufficient for us. Okay,
Allah is all we need.
Allah is all we need. Okay, now I'll end with this one incident because this is, you guys like Sirah. Okay, and Sirah, the prophet's story part that is mentioned in the surah is this surah was revealed just before the Muslims' migration to Habasha, the first migration, right? To Ethiopia, to Abyssinia.
There are only a few people.
Yeah. So that permission, remember in one of the previous days we were mentioning about that? That permission, yeah, going to Najashi's place, that permission is actually revealed in this surah. Allah is saying, "O my servants who have believed, surely my earth is spacious to migrate if needed. Therefore worship me and me alone." And then Allah is talking about death and all that. But it is in this surah that Allah is saying that my earth is vast and spacious. If you need to migrate, you can migrate.
He literally said exactly like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it says over here, يا عبادي الذين آمنوا إن أرضي واسعة فإياي فاعبدون. Like basically Allah is telling that earth is spacious. He's not really mentioning the word for migrate, but it is being referred over there. Okay? With that, let's end and let's finish our salah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
Yeah.
Okay.